In this video, I will show you how induction takes place and how charges get induced on a body when a charged body is brought closer to it. Before it, you should remember that any object already has a large amount of negative as well as positive charge on it. But the amount of negative charge is equal to the amount of positive charge, so the body is essentially neutral. To understand the process of induction, let me take the same glass rod which is positively charged in the very first experiment about electric charges and bring it closer to a metal sphere which is placed on an insulating base. And when this positively charged glass rod is brought closer to the metal sphere, which as all other objects has a large amount of negative as well as positive charges on it. So when the positive charge glass rod is brought closer to it, the negative charges in the form of free electrons are attracted toward the positive charge and they move towards the surface closer to the glass rod, means the left surface closer to the glass rod. And as no charge can escape or enter this metal sphere as it is placed on an insulating platform, the net charge on this metal sphere should remain necessarily be same as it was initially, that is net charge should be 0. So if left surface is negatively charged, then the right surface will have an excess of positive charge, so there will be the same amount of positive charge on right surface. But how much charge separation will take place, means it's not that all of the charge on this metal sphere will be separated into negative and positive charges, but how much it takes place can be understood from the process of induction if we understand how process of induction takes place. So how induction takes place: when I bring this glass rod with positive charge, the electrons in the metal sphere start moving towards the left surface, and due to the force of attraction between these positive charges on glass rod and electrons on the metal sphere. But this as this charge accumulation starts, there is a force of attraction between the negative charges and the positive charges, and also a force of repulsion from the electrons already present there which repel the coming electrons. So the electrons here has two forces acting on it, one towards the positive charge due to the attraction between positive and negative charges, and one away from the positive charge or the glass rod because of the repulsion from the electrons already present. And a stage reaches when these forces come into equilibrium and induction stops, means no more charge separation takes place. So this thing limits the amount of charges being separated. So this is how induction takes place on any object. One more thing, if I separate this glass rod or move this glass rod with this still having the positive charges on it very far away from the metal sphere, then there is no force holding these negative and positive charges on this metal sphere. So now the electrons and the positive charges, or simply the electrons are and the charges are free to move on this metal sphere, so they again rearrange themselves in absence of any force acting on them. So and the metal sphere reaches to its initial state of being neutral. So this is how induction takes place, and I have explained you the induction for a metal sphere, but the same process happens for even for non-metals and even for non-conductors. In the same process, in the same way, induction also takes place them if any charge object is brought closer to them. So we can summarize induction as this, that if any charge object with some charge is brought closer to some other object, the surface near the objects get the opposite charges induced on them, and the surface farther from the charge object get similar charges induced on them.